Doug the Thug Baldwin. He is probably set up to have back-to-back career numbers due to the fact that he's the hands-down number one option now for Seattle. Paul Richardson left, who wasn't a huge amount of the targets, but Jimmy Graham is the big one that leaves and all those scoring opportunities. But together, Richardson and Graham give up a whopping 34% of the target share that now, ipso facto belongs to Doug Baldwin. He's been a top 15 wide receiver for 3 straight seasons, Johnny. So, people talk about how they don't like him, but he keeps producing. Highly efficient with 13.2 yards per reception, and he had a career high in targets last year without all those targets up for grab in 125. So for me, Johnny, I like Doug Baldwin just based on purely on volume. I don't know that Seattle did enough to their offensive line to warrant the running game becoming more involved, and I really think Doug Baldwin could have monster numbers yet again next year, due to the fact that Seattle is pretty much bad everywhere else on the field besides quarterback and Doug Baldwin.
Yeah, I think you touched on it majorly right there, Travis. You're talking about a team that no longer has the Legion of Boom behind them. It's more like Legion of Doom to me, because they're going to be behind a lot, which means they're going to be passing a lot. And guess what? That offensive line is so bad that it's going to be backyard football. But guess what? That backyard football bodes well for 2 players, and that is Doug Baldwin and their quarterback, Russell Wilson. Both these guys have a connection. You see, they brought in Brandon Marshall. Not concerned about him. He's old. He's up there. I just think he's more of kind of like a decoy at this point. And then, some fantasy people think that Tyler Lockett could be a sleeper. However, Tyler Lockett's had a very difficult time staying on the field, unlike Doug Baldwin, who's been pretty healthy throughout the year, or we've even seen when he's injured, he still gets out there and he plays. So I like the toughness factor. After his 14 touchdown season a couple of years ago, he did regress to about 7 touchdowns and 6 touchdowns. So I think that is about the norm, 7 and 6. And I like their tight end there to catch a little bit more touchdowns now that Jimmy Graham's out. But again, Doug Baldwin's never been a real touchdown guy except for that 1 year. I expect him to pick up a lot of yardage, and for fantasy, that's great. That you can survive off of that, especially where he's going in drafts. I've been a part of that. You touched on it, Travis. People have never really been a fan of Doug Baldwin or doubted his talent. And I'll admit, I've been one of those guys. But I think this year I'm finally getting on the bandwagon and joining everybody else. I think Doug Baldwin is going to be a good player this year.